people think that they need a polymer frame striker fired 15+1 handgun that isn't a Glock 19. I know, I was shocked when I found out too, but those people exist. And those people are the people I'm making this video for today. Today, we're talking about the top 5 Glock 19 alternatives. I am a Glock guy, love a Glock 19, have at least 4 that I can think of, maybe 5 or 6, second, third, fourth, fifth generation, the 19X, tons of Glocks, love them. But I also love the guns that are on this list, and that's why I'm making this list. I want to show people that there are options. There are a lot of people who just hate Glock. I feel like there are people, they call Glock like the Toyota Camry. They just don't want a Glock because it's a Glock. And you know, whatever, I mean, that's fine. It's your prerogative, it's guns. Guns are fun. All these are good guns. There are plenty of good guns out there that aren't Glocks. So when you're talking about a Glock 19 alternative, it's got to be a 15+1 9mm, just like the Glock. It's got to be roughly the same size as the Glock. Polymer frame, and ideally striker fired. Now we're going to break that rule one time on this list. Actually, with this first pick, the Ruger Security 9. And in fact, there are a bunch of people probably freaking out right now because we're breaking a whole bunch of rules with the Ruger Security 9. The Ruger Security 9 is a budget gun. This is a gun that costs $300 street price, unlike the $500 Glock. But, you know, when I got the first one, when I got mine for review, I was like, I'm gonna hate this. You know, this thing's a piece of junk. For $300, there's no way it could be good. And boy, was I wrong. It performs well, it shoots well. I was shooting targets out to 50 yards most of the time. Steel silhouette targets easily.
Let's get a little weird. You see right here behind me, there's like a little A2 target, silhouette target. Let's see if we can hit it. We're 50 yards out.
I was very impressed with this gun, and if you want to see more details about it, go and look at my review of both the Security 9 and the Security 9 Compact, which is like Glock 26 size. It is virtually identical size, weight, dimensions, everything to the Glock. It just, of course, costs $200 less, but there are some features the Glock has that the Security 9 lacks. Like, for example, the Security 9's plus P rated, but they tell you not to fire too many plus P rounds. I'm sure that's because it's not going to be as durable, I would assume, as the Glock 19. I've got a Glock 19 and a Glock 17 that I've put tons and tons of plus P and plus P plus rounds through over the years, and they're fine. But Ruger in the manual says don't put too many plus P rounds. So it's great, you can still use it for defense, load it with defensive rounds, just don't burn it out at the range with it. This is not a striker fired gun. It's what I call a 1.5 action. That is, it's hammer fired, and the hammer is recessed. It's inside the slide. You can see it from the back. But what happens is it's almost like a single action, because when you rack that slide, it partially cocks the hammer. And then when you pull the trigger, that brings it the rest of the way back and then forward. So that actually results in a very pleasant trigger pull, very lightweight. And in fact, I would be surprised if there weren't a 50-50 split between people that said they preferred the Security 9 trigger to the Glock 19. It might even have an edge for all I know. Interestingly, you get forward slide serrations with the Ruger Security 9, which you don't get with most Glock 19. So there's where it might potentially have a leg up somewhere else other than price. Like the Glock 19, it's got a 4-inch barrel. It's got a 7.24-inch overall length versus 7.36 for the Glock 19. It weighs 23.8 ounces versus 23.6 ounces, so virtually identical in terms of weight. They're both 5 inches tall, and it is actually 0.06 of an inch thinner than the Glock 19. It's a 1.2-inch thick gun versus 1.26 inches thick. So in any event, I think they're a great option. They're number 5 because they're the budget option. They don't do everything the Glock 19 does, but they get you most of the way there for almost half as much in terms of price. Actually, we have 2 Slav guns coming up next. 2 guns from Central Europe. We're gonna kick it off with number 4, the Rex Delta. And I gotta tell you, number 4, number 3, number 2, and number 1 are all interchangeable guns. I mean, take the list moving forward. Just keep this in mind. This is my list. If you guys reshuffled 1 through 4, I would have no issue because these are all fantastic guns. So we're gonna start with the Rex Delta. The Rex Delta is a Slovenian gun. I've been to the factory where these are made. They're incredible. You're talking cold hammer forged barrels with hand polished feed ramps. Nitro carburized slides, well put together, great lifetime warranty. They've got a service center here in the United States if you ever need to use it, which is unlikely. By the time you see this video, I think my Rex Delta video would have gone live already, so go check that out, or at least look for my review if you want all the details. But the real edge the Rex Delta has on the Glock 19, other than price, it's $479 MSRP, so you're looking at like around $400 street price, is the fact that the Rex Delta may be the lightest and thinnest. It's definitely the lightest and thinnest gun in this list, and it may be for the entire category. This gun is almost geared specifically towards concealed carriers. It is 1.1 inches thick. There are single stack guns out there that are thicker than 1.1 inches. The SIG 320 is like 1.3 inches. The Glock, you're talking 1.26 inches. This is 1.1 inch thick. This is the thinnest gun that I've seen that's a 15+1 striker fired polymer handgun, which is excellent. I mean, that in and of itself, you can make an argument for this being the best gun on the list, especially if you're really looking for a concealed carry piece versus a Glock 19. It weighs 19.6 ounces unloaded versus 23.6 ounces. So it's almost a quarter pound lighter than a Glock 19 when they're both dry. So I think that's incredible. In addition to that awesome cold hammer forged barrel, it has a trigger with a reset of just 2mm. And of course, it's got interchangeable back straps, great texturing, some of the best ergonomics on a gun in this class. Also, a lot of people say the Rex Delta will fit into Glock 19 holsters, which is another cool feature, again, especially if you're looking for something to carry. Speaking of fitting into Glock 19 holsters, another Slav gun that's a great choice, number 3 on this list, the CZ P10C. I know, I never thought I'd say it. I mean, I always thought CZ was one of the more overrated companies, and to be honest with you, there really is nothing that I would buy from CZ that I feel like I couldn't get somewhere else. I like for alloy frame guns and for steel frame guns, I like SIG, I like the RX guns. For polymer, of course, I like Glock. So I've really not had any reason to get a CZ P10C, but a lot of my buddies, a lot of industry professionals, a lot of writers kind of consider this to be the ultimate Glock 19 alternative. So I said, you know what? I'm not even gonna call CZ. They probably don't even wanna talk to me. I'm just gonna buy one with my own money and see how it shoots. And I gotta say, I was really impressed. I really liked it. My buddy, Alex Costa from A&R Design, he's a huge proponent. He actually did a series of stories for the Firearm blog about the development of the CZ P10C. I thought it was very cool, and if you want more information, nitty gritty really about the CZ P10C, that's a comprehensive set of articles, and I suggest you check it out. But what I liked, and I asked Alex, I said, Alex, what do you like about the P10C? What makes it better than a Glock 19? He said he liked the grip texture better. He said he liked the trigger better. He said he liked the forward slide serrations. And he said everything else is just as good, if not better. So I took him at his word. I bought one. And I got to say, I was pretty impressed. I do like the trigger. Do I think it's much better than a Glock 19 trigger? I think it's comparable to a Glock 19 trigger, although I could understand when people say, hey, I prefer this to a Glock 19 trigger. I like the forward slide serrations. They're fantastic. They work very well. I love the grip texture. Now, a lot of people consider it to be too grippy, but I will say this. I think of all the guns on this list, this one has the best ergonomics. It's right up there with the Delta, the Rex Delta. It's got great ergos. Well, heck, our number 1 has great ergos too. But this one's got fantastic ergonomics. Brandon LaBeouf over at St. Bernard Indoor Shooting Center and of TFBTV, he really liked the CZ P10C ergonomics, and I could see him kind of caving. He's a Glock 19 guy, but he really enjoyed the P10C as well.
This is my slow fire 15 rounds. This is my rapid fire 15 rounds. Here I was just trying to kind of get used to the feel of it. And then once I felt like I kind of had it, I kind of tried to turn it up, because how much deeper this, like I felt it, like I subjectively noticed that this was deeper. And the best way I could explain it is, as soon as I even picked the gun up out of the box, it felt like it just locked in, like I had a harder lock on it. So I wanted to get on it to see how much, you know, again, subjectively, how much less muzzle rise I had. And while I wasn't shooting crazy fast, I definitely noticed, rarely do I notice that in the gun, but I definitely noticed that this deepened beaver tail area locks that gun in, and with a proper grip, it's really not moving. I'm not sure if that'll show on video or not, but the gun seemed like it was barely moving at all.
Cold hammer forged barrel. It's got a 4-inch barrel length. It's just a tick taller than the Glock 19 at 5.2 inches. It is the exact width of the Glock 19, 1.26 inches. The Glock 19's got a little bit of an edge on the P10C because the P10C weighs 26 ounces versus the Glock's 23 ounces. I gotta say, you guys were right. Everybody who told me to try a P10 said I would be impressed. I was impressed, and that's why number 3. Moving on up to my number 2. Now, I gotta say, this gun, it would almost be my number 1. This gun, if it corrected the minor issues that I had with it, this would be the gun that I would carry instead of a Glock 19, no questions asked. I absolutely love the SIG P320 XC. Now, of course, you guys know the P320 because it's the new handgun of the US military, but what I like about the XC is the fact that this thing comes fully optioned out right out of the box. There's nothing you need to buy. I mean, it is done. It has optics cuts. So if you want to mount a micro red dot on top of your slide, if you're one of those people, it's got them. If you're not one of those people, guess what? It's got night sights. Great 3-dot night sights for that matter. Working our way down, it's got an excellent straight trigger, which is fantastic too. The trigger pull is excellent. SIG's nitron treatment is one of the only treatments that compares to the nitrocarburizing used by Glock. It's got front slide serrations. Guys, the ergonomics on the XC are, you've got this great undercut and finger groove for your middle finger. You've got an excellent beaver tail in the back, great texture on the grip, front slide serrations on the slide. I mean, this gun has some of the best ergonomics of any gun that I've ever shot. It feels like an infinity glove of double stacked 9mm. I mean, it's that nice. And of course, it's got a serialized internal chassis, so you can remove the chassis and move the trigger chassis to different frames, because that's the part that bears the serial number, unlike the frame in the Glock 19. So you can go from a larger frame to a smaller frame just by moving your chassis and your trigger pack from frame to frame to frame. So what are my problems? Why do I not carry the 320XC, my 320XC, instead of the Glock? The 320XC is thicker and heavier than the Glock 19. It's a 1.3 inch thick gun versus 1.26 inches, so it's not that much of a difference, but for some reason it just feels a lot thicker whenever you're carrying it. It's also a 25.3 ounce gun versus the 23.6 ounce, so about a 2 ounce difference. But another thing I didn't really like about the 320XC is the trigger return. Whenever you'd fire a shot, and that trigger pull is fantastic, but you'd let it out and it was kind of anemic coming out. It's kind of, you know, like it just barely comes out. Where the Glock trigger, you don't get trigger slap, but man, that thing punches back out. Same thing with the Rex Delta, it punches back out and it's reset and it's ready to fire. It feels like your finger's moving faster than the trigger whenever you're returning your trigger finger. One other thing, you pay a price for having all these options. I mean, of course, I think it's still a better deal than buying like a stock Glock 19 and adding everything yourself, but you're gonna pay around $700 street price for the 320XC. But in any event, this is one of my favorite guns. Absolutely love the SIG P320XC, and that's why it's number 2 on this list. All right, listen to the specs for number 1. This is about as close as it gets to being a Glock 19. This gun is 7.3 inches long versus 7.36 inches for the Glock 19. It's 5 inches tall versus 4.99 inches tall for the Glock 19. It's got a 4-inch barrel versus a 4.01 inch barrel in the Glock 19. Same capacity, 24 ounces. This one weighs 24 ounces versus the 23.6 ounce number we've been throwing around this entire video. This gun is virtually identical in dimension in every way to the Glock 19. And that's only part of the reason why the Smith & Wesson M&P Compact 2.0 is number one. The main reason would be durability. This is one of the few guns that has a track record. Of course, it's not as long as the Glock. The Glock 19's been around for over 30 years now, 30 years, thereabouts. The Smith & Wesson M&P, it's been around for a while. I want to say nearly 20 years at this point in 2019. Maybe not that long, maybe about closer to 15. But it's got a track record and it's been reliable. Go back and watch Brandon LaBeouf's video for TFBTV where he does his range rental report. He does a range rental report on the Glock 19s, talks about all the times they've had malfunctions, when he's had to change parts. His second range rental report was on the M&P series. Didn't get nearly as many views, of course, as the Glock video, but the M&P, they actually replace fewer parts in the M&Ps than they do in their Glocks and their Glock 19s. And that's absolutely incredible. So that's really the leg up that this gun has as compared to every other gun on this list, is it's got the longest track record and it's durable. But that said, it was interesting because remember, Smith & Wesson came out with the M&P, call it the 1.0, the first generation of guns. They started with the M&P, the standard M&P, which is a 17+1 like the Glock 17. And then they did the compact, and the compact was slightly bigger than a Glock 26, but it was a 12+1 gun. They totally missed the most popular size for like the past 20, 25 years, the most popular size gun, which would be the 15+1 compact size frame. Smith & Wesson totally skipped it. And that's why everybody was so excited when the M&P 2.0 Compact came out, because the 2.0 Compact was the first time that Smith & Wesson really made that foray into the 15+1 compact size frame that was so popular, and they just spot on spec'd it to be almost identical to the Glock 19. I like the grip texture on the M&P 2.0. Is it better than a Glock's? I don't know. It's such a subjective thing. I don't personally think so. I think they're comparable, but I love that skateboard tape grip texture that came out with the 2.0. I also like that it's got small forward slide serrations, but it's better than none, as with most Glock 19s. It also has an upgraded trigger. The M&P 2.0, they upgraded the trigger from the 1.0, and that M&P 2.0 trigger, I did trigger weight whenever I did my review of the new Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0s a few years back, and I found the trigger weight was, I think it was about 6.5 pounds, but it was basically right in between the original 1.0 triggers and the Performance Shop trigger, so almost as nice as the Performance Shop. Of course, it's melanited. I forget what Smith & Wesson calls there. It's like Armor Night or something like that. But you know, it's melanited. I've never had an M&P. I've never seen one rust. It also has those great Novak style sights right out of the box. Love the wavy slide serrations that they have in the rear of the guns. These are fantastic pistols. But I think because of how close dimensionally the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 series is to the Glock 19, how well suited it is for carry, the great ergonomics, the total package, and it's less expensive than the Glock 19. Plus, it seems like it may be just as durable as the Glock 19. So that's why I had to make this my number one pick. Guys, be easy on me now. This one was really hard. Again, 1 through 4 are virtually interchangeable. All of these guns have a plausible argument for being the number one. I love all of them. I think if you haven't shot one, go out and shoot one. If you're one of those people, if you don't want a Glock 19, if you don't like Glock for whatever reason, I mean, it's cool to not like Glock now these days, I guess. So if you don't like Glock, then go check out one of these guns, because, I mean, they're all, in my opinion, I can't say just as good, but I would say about as good as a Glock 19. Anyways, thanks a ton for watching, guys. As usual, subscribers, I'm talking to you right now. Do us a favor. We're getting demonetized left and right. Our subscribers are not getting notifications. You have to click the little bell. Go to your subscription and click the little bell so you're notified every time we upload a video. We're getting demonetized. Our videos aren't being pushed out to our subscribers. by YouTube, so the only way you're going to know when we come out with a new video, it seems, at this point, is to click that little notification bell. If you want to help more, of course, there's Patreon. Go check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/TFBTV. We give away patches, we give away tons of gun swag multiple times a month, and right now we give away 2 guns a month. So go check it out. No purchase necessary. Our gun giveaways, of course, are not affiliated with YouTube or Patreon at all, and we bear all liability for any risk associated with the giveaway. You kind of have to say that. Sorry, I know it's lame, but guys, I hope you enjoyed this list. Thanks again for watching. See you next week.